I still remember the smell of rain that morning. The fields were quiet, and the air carried that strange kind of silence that only small towns know, the one that hides whispers, sins, and unspoken truths. I hadn't been back in years. Not since the day they took my father away in handcuffs. They said he was a criminal, a liar, a thief, but I knew better. I knew my father was innocent. When I left this place, I promised myself I would never come back. But life has a cruel way of bringing us back to where everything started. I came to sell the old house. That was the plan. Just to stay a few days, settle the papers, and disappear again into a city where nobody knew my last name. But then, I saw him. He was standing near the river, the same one where I used to play as a child. He looked lost in thought, with a book in his hand and the sun touching his face gently, like even the light wanted to be kind to him. There was something disarmingly calm about him, something that made my heart hesitate. "Excuse me," he said when he noticed me watching. His voice was soft, almost shy. "Is this path leading to the old miller's house?" I nodded. "That's my house." He smiled, and for a moment I forgot who I was. Forgot the ghosts, the pain, the shame. We talked for a while. About the town, about the weather, about the way time seemed slower here. He said his name was Edward. I said mine, Clara. It was a simple conversation, yet it felt like the beginning of something I shouldn't feel. The next morning I saw him again. He was at the bakery, laughing with the old woman who owned it. His laugh, it wasn't loud or forced. It was real. The kind of laugh that sounds like music after years of silence. He saw me, waved, and offered to walk me home. I wanted to say no, to keep my distance. But my heart betrayed me. We walked along the dusty road that led to my father's land. The wheat was tall and golden, dancing in the wind like it was alive. Edward asked about my life, my family, my childhood. I told him the safe parts, the ones that didn't hurt. He told me he had just come back from the city too. He'd studied law, but said he didn't want to become like his father. Too proud, too blind to the people who suffer. I didn't ask who his father was. I didn't want to know. Days turned into weeks, and slowly my walls began to fall. Edward had this way of making me forget. When we walked together, the world seemed lighter. I laughed again. I sang again. I even painted the porch like my father used to ask me to. One evening, we sat by the river as the sun melted into the horizon. He looked at me, eyes glowing in that dying light, and said something that made my heart tremble. "Clara, I feel like I've known you my whole life." I wanted to believe him, but a part of me whispered, "Don't." He touched my hand. I didn't pull away. For the first time in years, I felt alive. Then came the night of the town's harvest festival. Lanterns everywhere, laughter in the air, the sound of fiddles and dancing feet echoing across the fields. Edward found me among the crowd, took my hand, and spun me under the light of 1,000 candles. For a moment I forgot everything. I forgot my father's eyes the day they took him. I forgot the gossip, the pity, the cruel stares. Forgot my pain. It was just us, two souls in the wrong story. When the music faded, he looked at me like he wanted to say something, but he hesitated. His hand lingered on mine and he whispered, "Clara, I need to tell you something, but not tonight." I smiled, trying to hide the fear that suddenly grew inside me. The next morning, I went to town to fetch some papers from the notary. As I waited, I heard two men talking near the door. "Did you hear? The sheriff's son is back for good. Edward Wilson, just like his father, only with a prettier face." The world stopped. Sheriff Wilson, the man who arrested my father, the man who destroyed my family's name. I felt my chest tighten, my breath vanish. My hands trembled as I clutched the folder against my chest. Edward, the son of the man who ruined everything. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat by the window watching the rain. My heart was split between two truths, the one I knew and the one I wanted to believe. He came to see me, soaking wet, desperate. "Clara, I need to talk to you." I didn't open the door, but he kept talking through it. I didn't mean to hide it. I knew how people feel about my father. I knew what that name means here. But I'm not him, Clara. I swear I'm not. His voice cracked. I wanted to open the door. I wanted to hold him. But every drop of rain outside sounded like a reminder of handcuffs, of tears, Of the day my father's life ended behind bars. "Please," he said, "tell me what I can do to make you believe me." And all I could whisper was, "You can't." For days I avoided him. The villagers started whispering, they always do. But one evening, I saw him at the graveyard, kneeling beside a grave holding flowers. It wasn't his mother's grave as I first thought. It was my father's. I froze. My heart stopped beating. He looked up and said softly, "I found the truth, Clara. He was innocent. My father lied. He used him to cover up his own mistake. I'm so sorry." Tears filled his eyes. He placed the flowers on the stone and walked away before I could say a word. And that night, for the first time in years, I cried. Not out of anger, but out of love. A cruel, impossible love. I didn't see Edward for days after that night at the graveyard. I tried to convince myself that it was for the best, that this was how it was meant to be, two people cursed by a past that would never let them be free. But I couldn't silence the ache in my chest. Every place in that town whispered his name. The river, the bakery, the old wooden bridge. Everything reminded me of the way he looked at me, as if I were the only truth in his world of lies. Then one morning a letter arrived. The envelope was damp from the mist. My name written in a careful, trembling hand, Clara. Inside, there was only a folded piece of paper and a pressed violet, the same flower he once tucked behind my ear by the river. "I'm leaving town. But before I go, please meet me where it all began. I need to see you one last time. Edward." My hands shook as I read it. I told myself not to go. I told myself to burn it, to let him disappear like all the pain before him. But when dusk came, I found myself walking toward the river anyway. He was there waiting. The fog was thick, the world silent except for the soft murmur of the water. When he saw me, his eyes filled with something that broke me. Not joy, not sadness, but a kind of peace that only comes when someone has already made a decision. "I wasn't sure you'd come," he said. "I almost didn't." He smiled, that same faint, fragile smile that used to make me forget who I was. "I found everything, Clara. The documents, the statements. I can prove your father's innocence. I can clear his name." I stared at him, disbelief and hope fighting inside me. "How?" "I went through my father's archives. He falsified the confession. He wanted someone to blame, someone to protect his own reputation. Your father was just a name he could afford to destroy." Tears blurred my vision. You're risking everything by telling me this." He took my hand gently. "Some things are worth losing everything for." I wanted to tell him that this truth wouldn't change what we were. Two souls bound by the same wound, but the words wouldn't come. We sat by the river for hours, talking about what life could have been if things were different. He said he wished we had met somewhere else, in another time, where our father's sins didn't define us. And I told him that even if the world had been kind, I would still have fallen for him, because love doesn't follow rules. Just happens. When I finally stood up to leave, he held my hand tightly. "I'll bring justice for your father, Clara. I promise you that." His voice trembled on that last word. I didn't know it would be the last time I would hear it. The next morning, chaos erupted. The whole town was talking. The sheriff's office had burned during the night. Papers destroyed, records gone. And the sheriff was dead. My heart stopped. I ran through the streets, past the crowd gathered near the ashes, until I saw him, Edward, standing there, his hands blackened with soot, his eyes hollow. Someone shouted, "He did it! The boy killed his own father." I froze. Edward turned toward me, his face pale but calm. "It wasn't supposed to happen," he said, his voice breaking. I confronted him. He tried to destroy the evidence. The fire. It wasn't meant to. The sheriff's men grabbed him before he could finish. As they dragged him away, our eyes met one last time. In that single look, everything was said, the love, the pain, the apology. Neither of us could speak aloud. The days that followed felt like years. The town that had once whispered about me now screamed about him. The son of the great Sheriff Wilson, a murderer, a traitor to his own bloodline. I visited him in the small, cold cell behind the courthouse. He looked weaker, thinner, but when he saw me, he smiled, that same smile that used to make the world pause. "They're going to hang me, Clara," he said softly. "But at least the truth will live." I gave the documents to Father Gray. "He'll deliver them to the magistrate. Your father's name will be cleared." I felt my knees give way. Edward, no, there must be another way. He shook his head. There isn't. This town needs a villain to bury its sins. And I've already taken that place. Tears streamed down my face. I held his hand through the iron bars. His fingers were cold, trembling. If there's another life, he whispered, maybe there we can love without fear. I wanted to promise him there would be. But my voice broke under the weight of everything unsaid. The morning of his execution was gray. People gathered in the square. Faces I'd known all my life twisted with curiosity and judgment. They didn't see the boy who loved me. They saw only the name Wilson and the scandal that came with it. When they brought him out, I stood at the back of the crowd. My heart felt hollow, my breath shallow. He didn't look afraid. He looked free. When he found me in the crowd, his eyes softened. He mouthed something. Live. The sound of the rope tightening was the loudest silence I had ever heard. That night, I went to the river again. The wind was cold, the sky heavy with rain. I carried with me the violet he had once given me, now wilted and fragile, and the papers that proved everything. My father's innocence, Edward's truth. I placed the documents inside a wooden box and buried it under the old oak tree, beside the riverbank where we first met. Then I sat there for hours, letting the rain wash away the salt of my tears. People said time heals everything. They were wrong. Time doesn't heal, it hides. It buries memories under layers of routine until one day, a scent, a sound, a drop of rain brings everything back. Years passed. My father's name was finally cleared, posthumously. The town forgot the details, as it always does. But I didn't. I left the village, moved to a place where nobody knew my story. But every spring when the violets bloom, I remember him, the boy who loved me against fate, the man who gave up his life for truth. Sometimes when I walk by the sea, I imagine him beside me, barefoot, smiling, free from the weight of his name. I talk to him in whispers the wind carries away, and I wonder if somewhere beyond this life, he hears me. They say love that cannot live in this world belongs to another one. If that's true, then maybe, just maybe, our souls still meet by a quiet river where time stands still. And the only sound that remains is the echo of a love that refused to die.